are back for another week and another gallery. This week we are actually going to look at Roanoke Gallery, which is a pretty big gallery. It's a very long, straight, narrow gallery here at the museum. And the Historical Society is the parent organization for both the History Museum of Western Virginia as well as the Winston Link Museum. And the two museums were separate buildings, but they have recently merged into one. So today what we're going to see is a lot of the History Museum portion of the museum. And so here in the Roanoke Gallery, I am standing in front of our display for the Great Road, as you can see here. And the Great Road, it was an old Indian trail that it was just sort of worn down, and it actually became a major roadway for settlers. We have sort of a map here that shows part of it, but a lot of like German and Scotch-Irish and English people were coming into Philadelphia, and so the city of Philadelphia was just overrun with people, and so to look for more space, people started moving westward and down south more, and so that's how they would use the Great Road to migrate from higher to like Philadelphia down into this area, and so that's how people started settling in the Roanoke region. And so as part of the Great Road, we have examples here of items that settlers would have had with them when they moved, like I said, from northern Pennsylvania area down into Virginia. And so here we have a candle mold and a skillet, like frying pan for over the fire, and a farmer's almanac that is in German, because a lot of the settlers were German, and so only read and spoke German. And we also have a chest here, and it was used to hold all of the items for travel, and it's actually a really nice, like, detailed piece. Very good craftsmanship. So, and we also have a survey kit down here that people would use to sort of survey land when they were out and sort of exploring the new territories. And as part of this section, we also have the Ingalls Homestead, a photo of that, and Mary Draper Ingalls. I don't know if anyone knows this story already, but Mary Draper Ingalls and her family, they lived in sort of the Radford, Blacksburg area of Virginia, and they actually were attacked by Indians, and Mary Draper Ingalls and her sons were captured and taken to like Ohio area, and Mary actually ended up escaping and walked like 500 miles from Ohio back to Blacksburg area, Virginia. And so each year they have this big outdoor festival and play called The Journey Home, I believe is the title of that. And it is just a whole play based around this story. So in this portion here of the gallery, we are sort of highlighting the artisans and the craftsmanship that sort of sprung up along the Great Road. And so here we have a portrait of Emmaline Tinsley, and Emmaline Tinsley and her husband, they lived here in Roanoke, and it was a huge, huge plantation called Elmwood. And so if anyone is familiar with Roanoke, there's Elmwood Park in downtown Roanoke, and so that is where Elmwood Park came from, is from the Tinsley estate. They gifted it to the city, and it actually was the first library of the city. And then the building was torn down sometime, I want to say the 1950s or 60s, and then the building that is currently the downtown Roanoke library was built. And again, here we have some examples of some craftsmanship from the Great Road. It's Great Road style items, and you can see it's a lot of urns, a lot of pottery. Like I said, there's Mr. Tinsley there, his portrait's hanging, And so we just have a lot of good examples of the craftsmanship that sort of sprung up as a result of people migrating down into this area. Okay, so this section of Roanoke Gallery, we're sort of moving into more modern times, and this sort of is, we call it Boomtown, portion of the exhibit as we try and show how Roanoke became Roanoke. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of people here at first, and it was sort of sparsely populated, and then the railroad came. And then that's how we got the name Magic City, because the population just exploded very quickly. A lot of people came to this town. And so here we have some photos that Norfolk and Western, when they were very early on, when they were first here. And actually their photo here in this case, that is the original passenger station here. It was in the middle of the tracks there. And you can see Hotel Roanoke sort of up on the hill off to the side. So they tore that building down and built this one in 1905. So it's very, very early. And so with the population expanding here in Roanoke, we obviously had to have some entertainment and things to do for all of the people that started living here. And so we have some photos. There's a bartender, a saloon photo up in the upper corner there. And then the lower picture, it's of a circus act, like a tightrope, high wire act, and there's a person riding a bike across. And so we have some whiskey bottles and flasks and different things, a movie reel. We had several movie theaters here in downtown Roanoke, and so it provided a lot of things for people to do, a lot of entertainment and things for this new population that was here. Okay, so now we're nearing the end of Roanoke Gallery, and so we sort of jump back into Link a little bit. And here we have a large scale image of Sometimes the Electricity Fails. And in a tour, I like to stop and point this photo out for a couple of reasons. So Mr. Link was not much on candid shots. He very much had an idea of what he wanted in his image, what he was trying to capture. And so I like to point out this photo here was taken in Virginia when he was here, obviously, and you can see the train going by, and this couple sitting in the car here. And like I said, this photo was taken in Virginia, but the car has New York license plates on it. That's because this is Mr. Link's personal vehicle, and he just wanted this couple. He wanted a couple sitting in the foreground here as the train goes by, getting some gas. And he found these people and asked them to sit in his car, and so he could take the photo. So he very much knew what he wanted and had an idea of what sort of image he was trying to capture. So I like to point that out to people when they're here visiting. So when you first come down the stairs and enter Roanoke Gallery, one of the first things that you are met with is this giant mural image of one of the trains, one of the Norfolk and Western trains, and this is always a favorite of folks that visit. And I like to tell them that the train itself, it was so large that when Mr. Link took the photo, he had to take 6 or 7 like head-on shots and then piece all those images together to make one large master image because the train was just so big. So also in Roanoke Gallery, we have, along with some Link photos, we have some Norfolk and Western items that are on display. And here we have some dining car china, a clock from one of the stations, some signage, and brochures about the railroad. And obviously, that is what inspired Link was Norfolk and Western to come and do this project. So we have a lot of items on display from the time period.